Hello, Baba here. I wanted to say something about the difference between techniques and a method. So, there's it's quite common that people confuse the two, confuse the difference between techniques and method, and say that one technique or a bunch of techniques consist a method, even when they actually don't. So when we speak about a method of cultivation, in this case, a method of cultivation that leads to enlightenment, uh, first we need to understand the underlying principles. We need to understand what the mind is and how the mind is related to the body. So, and from there, based from that understanding, uh, we come to consider what a method is and what needs to be in a method so that that method, the techniques of the method leads to the goal, leads to enlightenment. But what is really common, I was talking with a close student of mine who had spoken with a man who has practiced yoga and meditation for 50 years. And what my student told about the discussion they had, I came to think about this, that there's a lot of people out there who are taught, perhaps in a lineage, perhaps by a authorized teacher, or are taught practices, techniques. They might be taught one technique or two, three techniques, or maybe even 10 techniques, different types of techniques. But this doesn't mean that it would be eligible to call that group of techniques a method. And also, we always need to consider that, okay, if you have a number of techniques, and even if it doesn't really make a method that takes you from one place to the next, to the next, to the next, to enlightenment, then we need to ask, okay, if there are practitioners, cultivators who practice these techniques and who have practiced them for some time, perhaps years, perhaps decades, perhaps even centuries, then we need to ask, have these practitioners reached that goal, reached that enlightenment? And if they have, what is the definition of enlightenment? I teach based on the view of Buddha Dharma, Buddhist Dharma. So there is very clear definition of what wisdom realization or realization of emptiness, realization of emptiness of all phenomena means. Very clear definition what it is. And it's not my definition, it is a definition of the Mahayana Buddhist tradition that has been there for a couple of thousand years. And there has been so many masters, female, male masters, who've actually pursued that path and achieved the goal, achieved wisdom enlightenment, or enlightenment of it in the context of wisdom through emptiness. So this is just an example that when my student told me about the discussion she'd had, I came to think that there are a lot of seekers, a lot of practitioners, a lot of sincere people out there who aren't really taught well, aren't taught properly, and do not even come to think, do not come to question what they are actually taught. But to me, this is really simple, when we speak about Dharma practice, yogic practice, meditation practice, and enlightenment. To me, this is really simple. Because, I've been fortunate to grow in Western society, and I've been educated in the secular education system, and it taught me a lot about teaching and learning, right? So, for the past 2 years, my kids they started school, and I watched them learn they learn the alphabetics, then they learn to, read words in syllables, and then they learn to read words that led to reading sentences, paragraphs, and now my daughter is reading books that are this thick. Same applies to mathematics, same applies to other subjects in school that, most of us, myself included, yourself included, have probably gone through this path and journey of learning. But it is completely out of the question that, if we had children go to school and spend their days at school, if they didn't learn first alphabetics and then learn to read words in syllables and so on, if they already didn't know they didn't know the basics of reading in 6 months after 1 year of school, then instantly we would know that there is something wrong with the teacher, there is something wrong with the way pedagogics, there is something wrong with the picture, right? So we all learn to read, write, do basic mathematics, geography, biology, all these subjects, but somehow these questions, these really basic questions in the minds of people who've gone through the education system, they just never come to think of yogic practice, meditation practice, dharma practice in the same way. How is it possible? If I have a couple of friends who went through the education system and even became doctors, professors in academic world, so you could perhaps make the comparison that through elementary school, high school, university, and so on, through this long path of learning, they became enlightened in their subject, in their art. They became masters, really high level in their arts. But how is it in the art of enlightenment, in the art of yoga, in the art of meditation? This is a completely gray area to most people. And, to me, it's really simple. If I think of traditions and lineages and methods and teachings, whether it is an actual method or just a bunch of techniques, they need to prove themselves with every generation. With every generation, if a method, a tradition, a lineage is authentic in my book, in every generation there needs to be at least one fully enlightened individual. Because otherwise, what's the point? What is the validity of a method that doesn't work? In secular in secular side of education, basically anybody. I live in Finland where education is free, so basically anybody can become a doctor or a professor of any field of science. So anybody can become an enlightened master of their secular subjects. But this very discussion is almost entirely absent in the world of spirituality, in the world of dharma, yoga, meditation. So with this video, I'm wanting to make people really think about these things, bring understanding from your secular education, and think about this, that what you're taught, what you have learned, and where you are going or heading. And yeah, it's a really important question. It's an essential question. And we need to demand, we need to demand answers from our teachers, whatever our tradition is, just like we demand answers from our secular teachers at school. If they don't have answers, if they don't give us answers, what is the point? Okay? Many blessings today. Hope you have a nice day and see you later. Bye.